Yes, thanks for staying with us. Time to welcome our first guest, of course, Don Cooper, former SANFL goal umpire, now commentating the SANFL on 5RPH. Don, thanks for coming in.
Phil, thank you very much. Robbie, thanks for having me.
All right, let's have a quick look at your career first, mate. 1999, you joined the SANFL Academy for goal umpires. How was that experience?
Yeah, that was fantastic. I came down from the Combined Southern Leagues footy umpires panel there, had a bit of a hiatus from umpiring as a junior. Came back into goal umpiring, joined the academy down there. Absolutely brilliant program with the SANFL, and marched through that very well. Was fortunate enough to umpire the under-17 grand final in that year, so that was fantastic. Ron Fuller's Eagles won the flag that year before he went on to coach senior football, so that was a really good leg up for me to see what goal umpiring was all about and get into the SANFL.
I'm always intrigued as to how a person becomes attracted to umpiring. You know, the days when we all grew up, we never interviewed umpires, and now we're interviewing. But you know what? They're actually real people. They are real people with personalities, and I mean that with.
Choose your harsh joke.
No, it's fantastic. But what is it? Because there's normally a reason that gets you attracted to umpiring.
Yeah, good question, Robbie. And I think it goes back to my playing career, albeit very, very short at high school. And I was never one to sort of be an in and under player, and always loved the game of footy. Had pretty much the skills, my coach would say, but Coops, you never went in and got the hard ball. He said, you're always 20, 25 metres away from the game.
Maybe I should have been a goal umpire too.
Why don't you umpire? So, you know, that was my starting point, got onto the boundary there. But goal umpiring for me, I guess, to get back in and try and get up the ranks with the SANFL was something that attracted me. I liked the pressure of the moment and, just that buzz about making that big decision.
I've been around the umpires at a few events that they've had. There's a real great camaraderie about them, isn't there? You know, that people don't see.
Yeah, there is indeed. They're a very tight-knit group, Phil, and the Umpires Association with the SANFL work very hard, and on and off the field, very tight group. I mean, it is a third team out there in essence, and we're always happy to enjoy the game, enjoy the social side of it as well. So you make some very good friends, some lifelong friends. In fact, one of the guys who I've went through the academy with back in '99, well, he's umpiring AFL now, and very, very close mates. So
I heard more sledging at the umpires function than I heard at any game that I've gone to and watched umpires umpire.
Yeah, that would have been back in '99, Phil. I think you were a guest speaker there that night, and I was lucky enough to pick up one of the awards there. And we appreciated you coming along and sharing your thoughts on your side of the sport. But there was a big turnout, and it's a great way to get into the game of football if you're not necessarily gifted in the game itself of playing.
Yeah, and I think though, in all honesty, the last decade, I think there's a greater respect for umpires and the job that's demanded of them. I mean, there's always going to be, that criticism of umpires, and we saw it last weekend in the Port v Carlton game, didn't we? But more and more, I think players or the general public understand the pressure that they're under, and I think that's part of understanding, but being able to communicate with the umpires gives you a better understanding.
Yeah, look, I think it does, and we've had the opportunity through television to see get an insight into the inner sanctum. I think whether that's a good or bad thing, I'm not really sure. But look, for me, I think it cuts out a lot of the interaction with the umpires and the players, which was part and parcel of the game back through the 70s and 80s when you had those two umpire systems, even one umpire system. But the public now have that real chance to see what the pressure is like. But I think TV can give you one perspective, but there's nothing like actually being out there at ground level and seeing how it looks like from that perspective, because it's nice and easy from the couch, but to be out there, no matter what grade you're umpiring, and especially at AFL, you're under enormous scrutiny.
All right, you talked about it, the under-17 grand final that you umpired, and then 2000 you go on and you're selected as the best goal umpire out of the academy. But you choose not to go on with goal umpiring. What happened? Yeah,
personal reasons, Phil. I had a young family coming along and just made that decision career-wise that couldn't put the time into it that I wanted to do it justice. I set myself fairly high ambitions in '99 and being selected to go up to the senior panel. So for me, it was about if I couldn't give that time and commitment to the discipline, I chose to go back and just help out in the Combined Southern League. So still kept involved in umpiring, but in a less, I guess, part-time capacity.
A few years ago, a mate of mine, Corey Wingard, we both used to work at Network 10, and he was always an avid supporter of umpires, all umpires, being paid a full-time wage. And you'd utilise them during the course of the week to go to schools, to give people a better understanding of the pressures involved, the opportunities of being a part of it. If at that time there was a full-time opportunity, would that have changed your thinking or not? Or do you agree that maybe down the track, all umpires should be part of a full-time paid wage?
Yeah, look at the AFL, Robbie. I think it's definitely a proposition which will come up. I think it's already been trialled with a couple of umpires. Whether or not the whole panel would be full-time umpires, I think that might be going over the top. But I think there's definitely roles for AFL umpires to be involved full-time with that capacity as far as recruitment and development. And I guess in my role with the SANFL back in 07 and 08, working with the AFL and working with umpires, they're very willing to give their time, but it is time demanding, and to be full-time, at least not to have to worry about another career, I think might be one of those things that they look at in the future, definitely.
AFL players, they have to run so fast, they have to sprint so quick, they have to pass skin fold tests, they have to jump so high. We know that there's fairly high expectations of field umpires. What are the must-haves of a goal umpire? Obviously 20/20 eyesight, but...
Yeah, obviously that helps, and if not, the white stick's always there. You've got 4 of them there, they're the big white ones there, you can't miss them. But yeah, definitely having your eyesight's imperative. But I guess the concentration factor, you need to be down on the goal line.
Do you get tested for that as part of the process?
Well, we were more tested on agility. Decision making definitely was real time. So out on the training track on Tuesdays, Thursday nights, we'd have balls being kicked in from all sorts of angles, dropping ball over the goal post, kicks on the run, dribble kicks, and you'd be assessed on your positioning and your judgment of those accordingly by the coaches. And then your agility was more so around the speed to be able to move her around 15, 20 metres across that goal face and cover the ground. So there were still demands there, and I guess the higher you go up, the higher the demands are. In the AFL, goal umpires still have to pass skin fold tests, and some people might think, well, that's crazy. Our image of a goal umpire is the big bloke on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning eating a hot dog, putting the can of drink down so they can pick the flags up and leaning on the post one way or the other just to see if it was a goal or a point. So, definitely the pressure to make the right decision, the higher you go up, becomes more and more important. And as we know, with the scrutiny of television cameras and betting on the game these days, the margin's all important for everyone. So you have to get the score right, and that's a big demand. It's a big pressure, but one that the whole team are up for.
Don, you talked about it then. You mentioned it, the TV cameras. Now we have video recall on is it a goal, isn't it a goal. We're just chatting before we came on here. I've always thought 2 goal umpires would have been the simple solution and the better solution. Do you have a view on that? Yeah,
I have a view that way would be the preferred way for me. I think it would get more human element involved in the game rather than TV element. I think at the moment the technology is not really there to be able to make that critical decision based upon where a goal umpire needs to be. It's fine perhaps for that touched on the line one, but that ball going over the top of the goal post that's kicked from an angle, you're backing back or you're running flat out to it, you can cover the ground a lot better with 2 people than 1. That would be the way I'd prefer to see it go in the future, as opposed to more TV cameras.
Style of game's changed. I mean, let's say 20 years ago, it was the full forward and the full back in there, and so it was a bit open, you could see what's going on. Now at any time there could be anything to 20 plus players inside the 15-metre arc. Is it more difficult now for the goal umpire?
Look, definitely with the forward presses that are on at the moment, you could have 20, 30 players in there at any time and dropping ball on the goal line. It's really that awareness. We talked about the concentration factor, but just that awareness of your surroundings as a goal umpire is critical. Which way is the ball coming from? Which way is the wind coming from? Where's it going to drop? Where are the players going to be? You have to get yourself in the best humanly possible position to make the decision without impacting on the players. And it's a big pressure to get that right and have all that going through your head the moment the ball's kicked off the boot.
When I was a kid, I'm not sure this is a myth, but I've got the bloke to ask.
No, you were a kid.
I was. But is it possible for the ball to hit the back of the post but still cross the line and be called a goal?
Yeah, good one. As long as the whole of the ball's crossed the whole of the line.
Because with the padding now, the
padding's very big.
Yeah, so you can actually hit the ball can be kicked through at an angle. It hits the back of the post, but it's over the line, so it's still a goal. I always thought that was when I was a kid, that was a fascinating, and hopefully the kids tonight think, wow, is that true? It is, it's true.
Also one of those things where the ball, goes through the goals, but the wind blows it back in and it hits the post. Another one of those ones I think we saw probably 10, 15 years ago was one of those great things. Well, didn't hit the back of the post, but had the ball cross the whole of the goal line.
Good.
An interesting one.
All right, quick one for you to finish up, Don. You're in a position where you get advice from the boundary line, people behind the fence, and advice from the people on the field. What's the funniest piece of advice you've been given?
Oh, look, I think, you've heard a few things. I mean, I've been hit in the back of the head with a ball coming back in from play, but yeah, I often get referred to as, you know, what are those things sticking out the side of your cap? You look like you're the FA Cup. The ears were always under scrutiny from the crowd there, and you can't get away from it. But look, that's all part and parcel of footy. You're down there with the, you know, and at AFL, I'm sure, you know, the boys would have great stories about what the cheer squads can throw at them. You know, not physically, but obviously, you know, a few good one-liners. And I know my mates had a few that he chuckles about, but you can't be drawn into that. It's all part of the game, and people pay their money to go there and have their little say. But there's nowhere to run when you're a goal umpire. Field umpires, they can, you know, might have a howler of a decision or be put under pressure from the crowd, and they get to pay the decision, run away. Boundary umpires the same thing. Goal umpires, you're stuck there. You're stuck there. So pretty big job.
All right, Don, well done. Thanks for coming in, mate. Appreciate your stories. Good luck with the calling on 5RPH. If you want to hear SANFL, Don's on. You'll get the umpire's point of view and a good call as well. Time for us to go to a break. Stay with us. Plenty to come.